Good morning, everyone. Those were there in the previous class. Can you tell what were the last topic we were discussing? Today, my camera is not working. I don't know, there is some problem with it. So, I don't have time to rectify that error. So, we'll carry on this class like this. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
So, what was the last topic we were discussing?
Financial system components.
Right? What are the components? Can you tell?
Financial institutes, financial markets, financial instruments and services,
Okay.
currency.
Okay. So all these five components are part and parcel of this financial system, we can say, and one another are they interact with each other and they have to work together. It is not that one component is important and others are not important. Every component of financial system is interlinked to each other. So we have touched upon all these factors, the institutions, markets, instruments, services, and the currency. Now again, we'll be looking into each one of them in depth. So first coming to the financial markets, it is a platform where you can actually exchange your financial assets. Financial assets are created and also exchanged between the parties on a platform, and that platform is known as financial markets. So markets here in the sense, it doesn't mean that physically a market exists like we have a vegetable market or supermarket. It is not like that. You have virtual markets as well, right? Like Amazon, it's a virtual market. So, like that, financial markets are also like virtual markets where it gives us the scope or a base where we can register ourselves as buyers or sellers or brokers or dealers or anyway. And this financial markets will be overlooking or taking care of the different kinds of instruments that have to be created, and the how the exchange has to take place between the parties. So buying and selling will be done through this financial markets only. So how will I know? Suppose if I want to buy something or sell, uh, let us assume I want to buy shares or sell shares. How do I know that who is ready to buy from me or from whom I have to buy? So I will register myself with a stock exchange, and then somebody like me who is having a need like me will also register with the stock exchange. And this financial market is bringing together the parties who are having similar kind of needs, and it makes those parties meet with each other. That is the main basic role of a financial market. So you in financial markets, you have different kinds of financial markets, like stock markets are there, foreign exchange markets are there, derivative markets are there, money markets are there. uh, Now if it's a stock market, what happens in stock market? Tell me.
Purchase and sale of companies.
Companies.
Company shares.
Yes,
Shares.
shares. What happens in forex markets? Forex, what does it mean? It's the short form for foreign exchange. So, a market in which foreign exchange is bought, sold, quoted, and everything supplied is foreign exchange market or forex market. In the same way, derivatives instruments will be there. That is a different market. Money market instruments are there. So, why we are suppose you have BSE. BSE will have stocks, it will have derivatives, it will have foreign exchange. Then why again, if it's BSE, why again we are bifurcating as stock market is different, foreign exchange market is different, money market is different? Why? Because the rules and regulations, the players, and the terms and conditions, everything are different for each type of market. Now whatever is happening in stock market, that will not give information about the foreign exchange. Whatever is happening in the foreign exchange, that will not give information about what is happening with money market instruments, like what is the current quote for dollars, and how much of supply is there, what is the bid ask spread, or who are the dealers. In the same way, derivative markets, how much of options are available, what is the expiry date, or futures are there, how many months of futures are there, which stocks are having futures. All the information about derivatives will be available on the derivative markets only, and all the information about the foreign exchange will be available on the forex market only. Like that, basically it is information creation and dissemination of information, and buying and selling of those particular type of asset or financial instrument, we can say. So that is why you should have different markets, so that there is no confusion, there is clarity in the information that is passed, and the players or investors, you can say. So everything is very clearly there. So some of the financial markets, you can say, is the NYSE, New York Stock Exchange. Any stock exchange will be falling under financial markets. So Bombay Stock Exchange. Then money market instruments are given here. Certificate of deposit is the money market instrument. Then you have futures and options in derivatives market. Then the recent new market that has come into existence is cryptocurrency markets, right? So do you know cryptocurrency is traded,
Yes, ma'am.
right? So that is the new form of market that's happening. So, in financial markets, you have a blend of financial products or instruments, and markets and institutions. All these together, what will happen? They will provide information to the investors, and they will provide a motivation to the people to study about different kinds of instruments that are available and invest in those instruments. And of course, uh, the what do you say, it directs the overall economy. It gives a boost up to overall economy, what has to be done, or development of economy, financial development of the system through which the assets are transacted and payments are settled, right? So, financial markets are very important, and they provide a platform for creation of interest, creation of assets, and exchange of those assets also. So basically, the main objective of financial market is to bring together the investors and the borrowers. People who want to investors are the people who are having excess funds with them, and they want to buy some financial assets. To buy some financial assets, they have to invest money, right? So they are giving out the money, and people who are in need of money, they sell some kind of instrument, and they borrow money from the investors. So these borrowers and lenders are bought together through this financial markets. So here, investors or lenders can be individuals like you and me, or it can be some companies or financial institutions, banks. In the same way, borrowers are also again companies, corporate companies, and at the same time, even government. Government issues bonds for its various projects, right? Or for financing its budget, deficit in the budget. it will issue bonds, it will raise some money from the public. So borrowers will be there, investors will be there, and financial markets are there. Through financial markets, these two people come together. Government issues bonds. Who will buy those bonds? Obviously, the public. So, who is going to help the government in issuing the bonds? Some financial institutions or which are known as markets. So, it can be banks or other non-banking financial institutions. So, you have like examples, all these banks what we have, HSBC, or you have Credit Suisse. Credit Suisse is like they are especially into lending, right? So all these names I think you have come across at somewhere or the other when you are going through news or something like that. Okay, so that is the main purpose of financial markets. They bring together the investors and borrowers. See, a government or a company cannot directly issue or shares or something like that or raise capital. It needs the help of some financial institution, right? Why? Because suppose we are there, we know, we have heard about, let us assume, HSBC Bank. So when a company is issuing shares, we may or may not have heard what the company is, but we have heard HSBC. So if the company is doing all its activities through HSBC, the credibility for the company will increase or will be created. And because I know HSBC, have confidence of HSBC, and HSBC is supporting that company. So I have faith in that company also through HSBC, right? So that way financial markets will provide or will give confidence also to the investors. So main functions of financial markets, why financial markets are or what is the purpose they do, is one thing is provide liquidity. So liquidity means it is, yes, Natasha, you have some doubt?
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to know if we started this new chapter. Is this continuation of the previous one?
Yeah, we have started with a financial this thing, no, system.
Okay, okay.
So we are looking into different components of financial system.
Okay, ma'am.
So first one was financial markets.
Okay, okay,
So that
ma'am.
is what we are discussing.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
So financial markets provide liquidity. Liquidity in the sense you can sell your financial assets and you can encash them. If you want to borrow money, you come to financial markets. So they will provide funds to you. That is one thing. And also providing liquidity means if you have some asset or shares you want to sell away, they will help you. The financial markets are going to help you in selling away those shares. They will find buyers for your shares, right? So that is also a form of liquidity. Asset liquidity is one thing, and having cash liquidity is another thing. If an asset is being able to be sold easily in a market, you are able to find a buyer in the market, then it is having liquidity, and that liquidity is given by financial markets. Then it also facilitates price discovery. Price discovery means you have shares, so how, at what price you can sell those shares, or if a company wants to issue shares, at what price it can issue shares. There are some fundamentals on which share pricing will be done based on the book value of its assets and its liabilities. Based on the valuation of the company, the shares will be issued at a certain price. But sometimes what happens, whatever is the book value of the company, the shares will not be issued at the same price. Company wants to use or make use of whatever goodwill it is having in the market. So it wants to know, suppose it wants to know at what price public is ready to buy those shares, how much they are ready to pay. For example, we had Zomato IPO, or so many other IPOs have come and are also coming. Whatever, though the book value is, let us assume 50 rupees or 50 rupees, they issue the share at 300 rupees, let us assume. So why, even if the book value is 50 rupees, they are issuing the share at 300 rupees, because they are confident that public is going to buy their shares even at 300 rupees. So you have a process called book building, where they call for bids from the public, and it is like asking them at what price they are ready to buy the shares of the company. So different investors give different quote different prices at which they can buy the shares, and based on that, the companies can identify, okay, so if it's planning to issue the shares at 300, let us assume, and it has got from the public, it has got that even people are ready to pay 400 rupees. So it would have done a blunder if it is issuing only at 300 when people are ready to pay 400 rupees per share also. So now it can issue its shares at 400, right? So before issuing, all this work is done. So this will help the companies to identify at what price they can sell their shares, the at what price the public is ready to subscribe to their shares, and in the same way, for government also, and for general public also, whatever shares they are having, if they want to know what is the current price of this particular share I'm holding, or this particular asset I'm holding, then they have to look into the financial markets and they'll come to know. Okay. Then capital formation, anyone would like to talk on this capital formation? Very easy. What is capital? Are you guys able to hear me? What do you mean by capital? Yes? Don't know? What is capital?
The money invested to commence a business.
Yes. Capital means the investment that is made to start the business. So, companies, when they are starting or when they are in need of more funds into their business, so they have to issue shares, or they issue debentures or bonds, and ask the public to subscribe. So, this financial markets, where the shares are issued by a company, and the general public subscribe to the shares of those companies. So in this way, it is directing the investments from the investors to the to the company, and creating or bringing into existence the capital for the company. So that is capital formation. And a company may be hesitant, or it may not be confident that it can raise some amount of capital. So financial markets help those companies in raising capital. They may boost up the confidence of the companies, and they help in raising the capital from the investors. So this way capital formation is there. Then next is risk sharing. What happens is here exactly risk sharing, in the sense, when you are trading as an investor, uh, there are some rules and regulations by the stock exchanges. Through those terms and conditions, it will make sure that whatever the people are entering into transaction, there won't be any manipulations, or let us assume that somebody has to pay and buy the shares, so there won't be any default in the payment or in supply of shares. I paid for my settlement, it will take 2 days for me to receive shares, okay, after making the payment. So in these 2 days anything may happen, and I may not receive my shares. I have paid, but I'm not receiving. So here the financial market, that is the stock exchange, will come into rescue for me, and it will make sure that whatever is to be received by me, whatever I have to get, that is given to me. That is, I will get the shares or I will get back my money, something like that. That is one thing. And when when people are investing in financial markets, and they are buying different kinds of they are buying different kinds of assets, this risk will not be there only on the single party. It will be divided among all the investors who are buying a certain category of asset, or who are investing certain category of market, like derivatives. Derivative market is specifically for reducing risk, not eliminating risk, but reducing risk. So when people buy derivative instruments like futures, options, and something like that, whoever are involved in those buying and selling of derivatives, risk is little bit shared by each one of them, and one party may be having a little bit higher and another party may be having a little bit less, but overall risk is spread among all the investors in a derivatives market. Single party won't be uh, taking up all the risk. So that is one of the benefits of financial markets, where the burden of risk is not there on only one party or one investor. Okay. Then easy access of funds. So if governments want to issue bonds, it knows where to issue bonds. It knows what is the procedure. Or if a company wants to issue shares, it knows where it has to go, and which platform it has to approach, and what is the procedure, and it can raise capital. As I told, credibility of the bank, credibility of the stock exchange, or credibility of the financial market will help the companies and will help the other people to get access to funds. In the same way, if I want to buy or if I want to invest in a kind of asset, I am interested in buying derivatives. I know where I have to go, to which market I have to go, and how much I have to invest. So that easy access to funds and also the financial instruments is there through financial markets. Fund mobilization. Fund mobilization means movement. So from the people who are having excess of funds with them, those excess funds are being directed to the people who are in need of funds or shortage of funds through these financial markets. So I have some savings with me. They are lying idle in my account. What I want to do, I want to buy some shares. Shares of a company. Now, why a company has issued shares? Because it's in need of funds. So my investment or my money is going into the company because I bought the shares of that company. Now that money is not there with me. Only shares are there with me. That money is lying with the company. And what is the company doing? It is utilizing my money to build up its business, to run its business. So my savings are going into the company and are being invested somewhere in running some business. Okay, so funds are moved from the people who are having in excess to the people who are in need of funds through this financial markets. Okay. Then reduce the cost of transacting. What happens is, usually when you do everything on your own, uh, it is not cost effective. Okay, but whereas if you have a platform like financial market, where the system is already set up, especially the infrastructure of uh, transacting, like transfer of shares or transfer of money, they have clearance mechanism. The system is already set, and already everything is set, right? So individually you should not be you there's no need for a company to set up everything again, because already the system is there. Only it has to take a membership or make an application or listing into a stock exchange. So because many people are there, many investors are there, many companies are there, whatever is the cost of operating will come down. It is divided among all the players, all the companies, all the investors who are part of a particular financial market. So cost of transacting means uh, through because of this fund mobilization, there will be some cost incurred. It can be any type of cost. One thing is interest or whatever regular payments you have to make. Suppose if you are, let us assume a company is there, it is in need of some funds. So if it is directly going to a financial institution or some um, what do you say, unstructured lender, so there they may charge a higher interest rate for the loan. But if the company is issuing bonds through some financial market or through some bank, let us assume, the interest may be less. As I told, in markets, because of the credibility of the market, uh, some benefit will be there to the companies also. So the cost of interest may be less when it is issuing bonds, because lot of people will be buying. It is not single investor. Whereas if the same company is going to a single bank for getting loan, obviously they may charge a higher interest rate. The risk, because the risk is there only for that bank. But bonds, when it is issuing bonds in the market, whoever is buying the bond of the company, they are sharing the risk. Okay, so obviously the expected interest rate will also be less. Risk is less, so the expected return is also less. So this way, the cost of transacting, the cost of the funds will be lesser in financial markets than if you're doing it individually. Okay. So you can classify the financial markets on different categories. Of course, one will be overlapping with the other. Like based on the nature of claim, you have debt market and equity market. Then based on the maturity, you have money market and capital market. And based on timing of delivery, you have cash and future market. Then based on the organizational structure, you have exchange traded and over the counter. Then again, capital market, you have primary and secondary. Like that, suppose if a market is the futures market, it can also fall under capital market, and it can also be an equity market, and it can also be over the counter market. Okay, or if a future market can be exchange traded, can be money market, can be debt market. Okay, so a single type of market will be falling under more than one category of the markets. So suppose if it's based on nature of claim, you have debt market and equity market. So all those who are buying and selling bonds, debentures will be falling under debt market, and those who are dealing with equity shares, they will be falling under equity market. Then maturity of claim, money market and capital market. Money market means all short-term instruments that are usually which have a maturity period ranging from 24 hours. Usually it is 90 days, but they say it is below 1 year. So any instrument that is having maturity of 1 day to 365 days will be called money market instrument. And that market where buying and selling of short term assets is there is a money market. And any asset that is medium term and long term, that is more than 1 year, will be falling under capital market. So in money market, you have different instruments like certificate of deposits, treasury bills, commercial papers, all these things which have a maturity period of more than less than 12 months. Whereas bonds, equity shares that have a maturity of more than 1 year will be falling under capital market. Again, different categories of money market we'll look into carefully in the next class. Then, based on timing of delivery, cash market and futures market. In cash market, the transaction is completed then and there itself. That is, suppose you want to buy a share today, you have made a payment and you are buying the share today. That is known as cash market. It is completed in real time, means immediately. Whereas in future market, there is some time for the transaction to get completed. That is to make the payment and to receive the asset. Some time is there. It is not happening currently. It is happening sometime in the future. Today you have entered into an agreement only to pay and buy. That actual action of paying and buying the asset will happen sometime in the future. Everything will be mentioned in the agreement. Okay, that is known as futures market. So delivery and compensation of products are taken in the future specified period. So derivative markets is a futures market where you have some kind of instruments where buying and selling of assets will be done in future but not at current in current time. Then coming by the organizational structure, in suppose if it is an exchange traded instrument or you have stock exchanges, right? If you are transacting through a stock exchange, it is known as exchange traded. And if the involvement of stock exchange is not there, but if parties are buying and selling an asset without the involvement of stock exchange, it is known as over the counter market or OTC market. Now, why that why you should go for exchange traded market or why people go for over the counter market is in exchange traded market everything is centralized and there is a particular procedure for doing things that is set by the stock exchange itself. Suppose if you want to buy something and sell something in Bombay Stock Exchange BSE, you have to follow the terms and conditions given by BSE. You should have a margin account, you have to deposit money, and every last Thursday it has to be settled, and only certain category of shares are available. So, like that, you have to follow the terms and conditions that are given by the Bombay Stock Exchange. Now, and the exchange or the transfer of money and the asset is done through that exchange only, but not directly between the parties. Suppose if you are buying some shares, you don't know who is the seller because in between you have the exchange. You will pay to the stock exchange, you will receive the shares from the stock exchange. That stock exchange is going to transfer your money to the person whoever is selling and take shares from him and give it to you. So you actually don't know who is the person from whom you are buying. Everything is happening through exchange only. But in over the counter market it is not like that. Decentralized organization means you can enter into any transaction with anyone with any terms and conditions as per your requirement. Like if it is exchange traded, you have lot size. That is, if you want to buy shares of some company, they will give lot size. Lot size means minimum how many shares you have to buy. One lot will have 50 shares, so you have to buy one lot, two lots, three lots, four lots. So one lot means 50 shares, two lots means 100 shares, three lots means 150 shares. So like that, that is compulsory if you want to buy those shares, either one lot, two lot, three lots, that is 100 shares, 50 shares, 100 shares, 150 shares, or 200, like that. You have to buy in the multiples of 50. But suppose if your requirement is not that, you want to buy only 80 shares, then you go for over the counter market. where individually you'll search for a seller who is ready to sell you 80 shares, but not these lots as per lots. So you will enter, so those financial assets or those terms and conditions that are not suitable, the exchange conditions for the stock exchange conditions, if they're not suitable to any investor, they will go for over the counter market. It is a decentralized, there is no involvement of stock exchange, but you have players in the dealers, brokers will be there who will help you to find out the opposite party that is having same requirement like you. So in over the counter market, the important thing is, I said 80 shares, you want to buy 80 shares. So how do you find the person who wants to sell 80 shares to you? That will happen with the help of a broker or dealer in the OTC markets. They will bring together such parties. But the risk will be there. More risk will be more in the over the counter market, because here now stock exchange is not coming for your rescue if any problem arises in your transaction. That is the problem. Then based on the seasoning of claim. Seasoning means uh, whether it is first time, second time, like that. So if it is first time, if a company is issuing shares, it is known as initial public offer. Now let us assume Facebook, it issued shares some time back. So first time it was issuing shares, or Zomato it was issuing shares, right? So first time it was going public and it was issuing shares. So that is known as initial public offer, and it comes under primary market. And Zomato, okay, new shares it issued. Now what is happening with those shares who have bought? Suppose I bought the IPO of Zomato. Now I don't want to hold the shares of Zomato. So what can I do? I can go away and sell. I cannot ask Zomato to take back the shares. I have to go to some secondary market and sell away. That is in the stock exchange. I have to sell away to any other person who is willing to buy those shares. So once initially the shares have been issued by the company, that is primary market. After it is issued, and then later on whatever trading happens with those shares, buying and selling happens with those shares, it is happening in secondary market. Okay. Now suppose if Zomato, once it issued shares, now next year it is expanding and it is in more need of capital, it is in more need of funds, so it wants to issue more shares. Already it has issued some shares in 2021. Now in 22 also it wants to issue more shares, new shares, fresh issue of shares. So again it can issue new shares, and that is known as FPO, further public offer or follow up on for public offer. Okay, so FPO, second time new shares are issued is FPO. Then once I suppose I also subscribe to FPO, then later on I want to sell away the same shares, I have to go to secondary market then. Understood the difference between primary and secondary market? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
People have to respond, just not simply listening. So from next class onwards, I'll pick up the names. Shall I pick up the names to give answers? So next is financial instruments. Financial instruments are the medium through which your claim or your ownership is transferred, or you get the ownership of an asset through financial instrument. That is, instrument is a proof that you are the owner, you have paid money and you are the owner of this particular asset. Just like we have, property papers will be there. What will be written on the property papers? On a bond paper, it will be written the details like who is the owner, who is the nominee, what is the address, what is the asset, where is it located, and everything, right? And is signed by the buyer and seller. So that document is a proof that you are the owner of the house. Legally, you are the owner. If the document is not there, what will happen? What happens if property documents are lost? Or why is it so important that property documents are they are very carefully kept? Why?
It's a
Yes,
proof. It's a proof that you have an asset.
right.
Proper.
You are the owner of the property. It's a proof, right? And uh, of course, it is not nowadays because everything is centralized and you have a system wherein all the information and data about house property owners and other things are stored. But yes, still there is scope for manipulation. So you should have that proof that you are the owner, and that proof is financial instrument. So, in the same way, like a house property has financial instrument, this financial assets like stocks, bonds, everything will have a document, wherein in that document it is very clearly mentioned that you are the owner of this particular asset. This is the value of your asset. On so and so date, you have bought the asset, and so on. Like that, a proof will be there on the instrument. Okay. So earlier we had paper format, but now everything is dematerialized. So tangible means in physical paper. Intangible means it is not physical paper, but it's an soft copy, we can say. In the intangible means soft copy like PDF nowadays. In dematerialized form means that paper is stored in a as a e-copy, that is intangible form. Usually you see some of the documents, especially the insurance documents or your parents, those documents are sent to their email, and they that documents also have certain password. Only through password it can be opened, because it is very important document. Even insurance documents nowadays you are getting through email only. Physical documents, if you ask, they will give. Even passbook also, some of the banks don't have the concept of passbook nowadays. Like ICICI, it doesn't have a passbook. It has only e-passbook. So physically, there is no passbook for some of the ICICI bank account holders. What is a passbook? Can you tell me? Yes. What is a passbook?
It consists of all the transactions you made through that account.
Yes. Whoever is holding a bank account, they are given passbook, and they hold or whatever transactions are happening are entered into that passbook. So it is a proof of all the transactions. So whatever transaction is happening, that is reflected in the financial instrument, and whoever is name is there in the instrument, whoever is in possession of that instrument is the owner of that asset. That asset belongs to that person. So proof of ownership. Instrument is a proof of ownership. Okay. So we'll continue tomorrow. Let me take attendance. Can you see the attendance?
Yes, ma'am.
Yashwant Reddy,
Present, ma'am.
Aditya Gautam,
Present, ma'am.
Ahmad Yusuf,
Yes, ma'am.
Akshit, Anirudh Rao, Apurva,
Present, ma'am.
Kashwat,
Present, ma'am.
Atriya,
Present, ma'am.
Matri, Tarun Kumar, Mahat,
Present, ma'am.
Girish Reddy,
Present, ma'am.
Vijay Kumar, Neha,
Present, ma'am.
Dev Verma, Gohar,
Pre-
Gohar,
Present, ma'am.
Sai Lahari,
Present, ma'am.
Ishan, Jatin,
Present, ma'am.
Satvik,
Present, ma'am.
Charanya,
Present, ma'am. Present.
Siddhant Reddy,
Present, ma'am.
Kushagra,
Present, ma'am.
Tarun, Tarun Pintu, Jannat,
Present, ma'am.
Siddharth, Sai Kumar,
Present, ma'am.
Siddharth, Harshini,
Present, ma'am.
Natasha,
Present, ma'am.
Srujan,
Present, ma'am.
Pujita,
Present, ma'am.
Preeti,
Present, ma'am.
Raghupati,
Present, ma'am.
Sarip Beg, Serena Moses,
Present, ma'am.
Shivani, Rishita,
Present, ma'am.
Madhuri,
Present, ma'am.
Sai Lalit,
Present, ma'am.
Rahul,
Present, ma'am.
Vamshi Krishna, Shreya,
Present, ma'am.
Yashwant,
Present, ma'am.
Sai Kumar Reddy,
Yes, ma'am.
Akshaya, Harshit,
Present, ma'am. Akshay.
Akshay Gaud, Sisir,
Yes, ma'am.
Pranit Reddy, Pratik Reddy, Spandana,
Present, ma'am.
Tarun, D. Tarun, Anish Bharadwaj, Shruti,
Present, ma'am.
Syed Mustafa, Sri Sai Abhiram,
Present, ma'am.
Premdeep Reddy, Vardhan, Harshavardhan, Chaitanya Shravana Gaud, Rishik Yadav, Nitish Verma,
Present, ma'am.
Yashwant Gaud,
Present, ma'am.
Pujit.
Present, ma'am.
Okay. Quickly have a look.